Are there questions you wish more prospects would ask you during the selection process?
Maybe. There are times where I will get on a call and, they'll just be like, well, what's your experience? How can you help? Things like that. And they feel pretty comfortable pretty much right off the bat. But I think what shocks people sometimes is when I'm like, we have a small team, we're all in house, we're doing it by ourselves. Our subcontractors are overseas, sometimes they don't ask that type of stuff. But I think I've gotten really good at like, hey, giving them that type of information up front now, because it
Hmm.
used to be a shock to people to know that my developer is in Poland. That used to shock them. And
Yeah.
then, or nowadays, one thing is that you should be asking is, how do you do your development? Are you using AI to do development? Because
Hmm.
now we have
Yeah.
AI, and that's one of the things, when we do development, I always tell the client, okay, are you okay with us using AI for this? Or the traditional route is going to cost you a little bit more, right? Because it's going to take a little bit more time. So
Yeah.
those are other questions I think that, are things to think
Yeah.
about, I guess.
Yeah. It's not just can you do this BC implementation for me and do you have references? It's
Hmm.
you wanna you it sounds like your approach is you really want to be transparent about how you operate fully so the client knows exactly what they're getting when they're gonna work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. One question that just came to mind, Rory, is every end user that is looking to implement any ERP,
Yeah.
do you have experience in my industry? I mean, that's a great question to
Yeah.
ask. If they're production, manufacturing, and they're talking to me, and they don't ask me that, like they're just going to assume I know it, right? And maybe I don't. So those are just other things too, because that leads into another interesting conversation. If my prospect is in production and I tell them, you know what, I'm not really a production expert, the next question should be, well, who's going to do the work? Who's going to help us? Things like that. So those are all just the conversations. You don't want to be blindsided. You don't want to sign the paperwork and all of a sudden, I'm such a small firm that if I'm on the call with the prospect, they're working with me when I sell the deal, right? But if you go to some of the bigger CSPs, who's selling the deal is not going to be who's implementing you. So like,
Yeah.
where are those people in the sales process? Where's the functional consultant verifying, the statement of work is good and that they can do the work and things like that. So I think, just thinking about the rescues we've done and some of the pain points that people have had, that right there could have, answered a lot, honestly.